My name is Andrew Williams. I'm the CEO of New Pacific Metals, a company that's just discovering and developing world-class precious metals deposits in Bolivia. So our company currently has 3 projects under our control. Our most advanced and flagship project is our Silver Sand, located on the left part of the screen. Silver Sand is the project that brought us to Bolivia about 6 years ago, and has become one of the best, if not the best, primary silver discoveries that's been made anywhere in the world. And we're continuing to rapidly advance the Silver Sand project to shovel-ready status. So a year ago, we released our PEA study highlighting 171 million ounces of life-of-mine production profile at roughly $10 an ounce all-in sustaining costs, and yielding a post-tax net present value of $726 million and a 39% IRR, and really importantly, a sub-2-year payback period on the capital. Silver Sand is a remarkable project, and we're continuing to advance it this year, moving towards our pre-feasibility study that I'll touch on a little bit later. And if Silver Sand wasn't a tough enough act to follow, our company a couple years ago made a second major discovery, also in Bolivia, at our Carangas project. And that's the one that's located in the middle of this of the slide. And in September of last year, we released our inaugural resource estimate at Carangas, outlining a massive system, total indicated resources of 560 million silver equivalent ounces, and another 110 million ounces in the inferred category. And importantly, that's all within a pit shell at a roughly 1.8 to 1 strip ratio. And we've also got some very favorable preliminary metallurgical test results at Carangas supporting the project. So as if Silver Sand wasn't a tough enough act to follow, we certainly think we've done it with our Carangas project. And last but not least, we do have a third project on the right side of the slide, that's Silverstrike. It's our least advanced, but nonetheless highly prospective. We completed a scout drilling program in 2022 at Silverstrike, and we hit 200-meter runs of oxidized gold right at surface. And consider Silverstrike to be prospective for both Silver Sand and Carangas styles of mineralization. So what are we doing this year to move these projects forward? Well, Silver Sand, as I alluded to, we're working towards completing our pre-feasibility study, and that's due in the middle of this year. And so for the first time, we'll be able to declare reserves at our Silver Sand project. Very exciting advance for that terrific project. And as well, in parallel, we're working towards completing our environmental impact assessment study. And last but not least, there's a little bit of additional ground that's to the southwest of our 100% owned tenements at Silver Sand, that's owned by the state-owned mining company Commie Ball. And so we're working with them to ratify and approve a signed agreement that we moved forward a couple of years ago for areas around Silver Sand to really clean up that consolidated land holding at our Silver Sand project. And then at Carangas, as I flagged, we released our resource estimate in September of last year, so we're working towards our PEA study by the middle of this year to, I think, shock some folks as to the impactful economics of that large-scale polymetallic discovery. And then at our Silverstrike project, as you can gather, we've got enough on our plate. So at Silver Sand and Carangas, we're pausing our exploration activities at Silverstrike to focus on our 2 main projects. Just a little bit about Bolivia, if you're not familiar with it. You might be asking yourself, how is it that we've been so successful as a company in such a short amount of time finding these world-class systems? And the first point I'd highlight for you is the geology in Bolivia is exceptional. Just 40 kilometers away from our flagship Silver Sand project is the 3 billion ounce Cerro Rico silver deposit. It's been operating for almost 500 years. And if you look at the neighboring countries, Chile, Peru, and Argentina, those are world-class mining jurisdictions. So typically geology doesn't stop at man-made borders. And the other thing that's we've really got going for us in Bolivia is the mining culture. Again, going back to 1545, mining is very much in the DNA of this country. And in 2022, Bolivia was ranked as the 6th largest silver producer globally, and it's responsible for about 20% of the exports. And last but not least, when you combine great geology with a deep mining culture, and the fact that this country has been underexplored over the last 20 years, it's very fertile grounds for a company like New Pacific Metals to come in as a first mover originally back in 2017 and make these two industry-shaking discoveries that we've made at both Silver Sand and Carangas. So zooming in a little bit on Silver Sand, these are the key highlights from our PEA study that we released in January of last year. So an open pit configuration, 3.6 to 1, strip ratio, 4 million tons per annum, 107 gram head grade. That's about 1.3 grams gold on an equivalent basis. We'll recover 91% of that metal to a silver doré bar, so we'll get paid 99% of that content. At 2250, that's $3.5 billion of life of mine net revenue at roughly $10 an ounce, all in sustaining costs. And as I flagged, $700 million after-tax net present value and a sub 2-year payback on our upfront capital. And that's really driven by, if you look at this production profile, we'll produce roughly 12 million ounces of silver per year at our Silver Sand project, but in each of the first 4 years, because we get into the guts of this system, in daylights just below surface, we're going to be producing roughly 16 million ounces per year of silver in each of those first 4 years. And to put that into context for you, look at a company like Hecla, silver industry giant. Their silver production in 2023 was roughly 16 million ounces a year silver. So that's Hecla scale silver production from just one asset at roughly $10 an ounce, all in sustaining costs. I mean, Silver Sand is truly one of the best, as I said, maybe the best primary silver discoveries that's been made anywhere in this planet. And we're now this year focused on upgrading that PEA study into a pre-feasibility study, and so we'll be in a position to declare reserves for the first time on this fantastic asset. And just giving you a quick overview of our second project, Carangas. It's about call it a 10-hour drive from our Silver Sand project, also in Bolivia. Fantastic infrastructure. You can drive from the capital, La Paz, along a paved national highway. It takes you 35 kilometers from where the project site is, and then a beautiful flat gravel road right to site. So the access at Carangas is fantastic, and there's a lot of metal there. So this is our inaugural resource estimate that we put out in September. So altogether, 560 million silver equivalent ounces in the indicated category, another 110 million ounces in the inferred. The bulk of the mineralization at Carangas is in this upper silver zone. It's a zone system, but 150 million of the 250 million tons are in that upper silver zone at a silver equivalent grade of about 80 to 85 grams. That's over a gram on a gold equivalent basis, and that's all contained within a pit with a very low strip ratio. And then as you go down through that silver zone, you get to the gold zone at depth, where there's about 1.4 million ounces of gold that we've outlined so far in the pit. And just, if you step back, I mean, these numbers can be a little bit overwhelming, but just through this industry, we've got an amazing ability to create value through the drill bit. And if you think about the quantum of those ounces, so 670 million when you combine the two categories, which I know you're not supposed to do, but if you look at these comparables, on average 50 cents an ounce on a silver equivalent basis, pick your number, but I mean, just substantial value that we've created at our Carangas project that we feel we're getting no credit for in our share price. And we hope that by the middle of this year, when we release our PEA study, we'll be able to really daylight some of the value that our geologists have been pounding the table over for the last several years. So look for that PEA study to come out in the middle of the year at Carangas, and then we'll have our second project closing the gap quickly with our Silver Sand as far as advancement. And then just last but not least, Carangas is a big tenement. It's a 41 square kilometer land holding. And we ran this IP survey because the original Carangas discovery was completely blind. It sits under post-mineral cover. And so we ran this updated IP survey in the Greater Basin, which flagged several distinct geophysical anomalies. And if you zoom in, there's one of the anomalies actually perfectly correlates with the mineralized rhyolite intrusion that is our massive Carangas discovery. So we think that we're just scratching the surface in a much larger district at Carangas. So you can look for us to get back in and flush out that potential at some point in the future. And then lastly, I'll just give you a snapshot of our capitalization table. So not only do we have fantastic assets that we've discovered through the old-fashioned greenfields route, we've also got a tremendous supportive shareholding base. Industry insiders, Silvercorp Metals, they own 27% of us, have been there pre-discovery, as well as Pan American Silver. They own just over 11% of us, and again, have been there early on. Pan American Silver, if you're not aware, they operate in Bolivia. They share our view that it's an underappreciated country, and so with that backing, in September, in a very difficult market, we were able to raise 35 million Canadian, and so we're very well funded to continue to push these projects forward and realize value for our shareholders in a very slow but deliberate and disciplined way as we try to bring these massive new sources of silver production online in an industry that desperately needs new silver discoveries. So with that, it's a very quick presentation, but we are at booth 613. If you want to learn more, happy to meet you, but thank you everyone for your time and attention.